Welcome to episode 9 of Hornets Sports Buzz. Tonight we're going to talk about boys soccer. With me tonight on my far left is Connor Reams. In the middle, Sam Nugent. And on my immediate left, Tony Salisbury. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
I'm going to give a quick update on other sports, and then we'll get right to soccer, soccer. Just a couple teams left. The boys cross-country team ended this season yesterday at the All-State meet in Westfield. They came in 5th place, which is incredible, out of 20 teams. The conditions were snowy, muddy, cold, and wintry, and they were led by captains Paxton Howard and Patrick Heavey, who had great races, along with Jason Winvogel, who came in 20th in the whole state, so congratulations to them. A special shout out to Coach Julie Collins, who's retiring after this year. It was her last meet, and she went out with a bang, so well done, Coach. Good job. The football team, I didn't mention, it's Monday, November 19th. Tomorrow night, the football team's going to wrap up their season. The annual Thanksgiving Day game, except they're going to be playing it 2 days early at Fenway Park. Are you guys going in for that game?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. I think soccer players get in for free, so.
Oh.
Yeah. No, that's not true.
Yeah,
That'd be Fenway Park, and I think there's a free student bus, right?
yeah.
Okay, so they're going to play Foxborough. So if you don't go and you wake up Thanksgiving morning and try to go to the game, you'll have nowhere to go. So you're going to have to help your mother with turkey. So make sure you go to Fenway tomorrow night. All right, so all soccer. So as I mentioned, we got Connor Eames is senior, Sam Nugent's a senior captain, and first junior we've ever had on the show, Tony Salisbury. So welcome again, guys.
Thank you.
We could. I'm going to save some questions. Coach Sheridan's here. He's somewhere. He can't find his way in the parking lot. I don't know if he'll ever get here, but we'll see. So, guys, great season. First place in the Kelly Rex. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I like to make sure all my guests are prepared. But do you know how many times you guys have won the Hawk-a-Mock? The Kelly Rex has only existed for 8 years, but how many Hawk titles is this for Mansfield? Do you guys know?
3.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Second outright title. That's good. That's impressive. And I think it started in the mid '80s. So 3 titles, 2 in the last 4 years.
Yep.
Connor's older brother Brad was part of the second team, right?
Yeah.
Was that 2015?
15.
Thank you. That's good. So let's talk a little individual, and then we'll get back to the team stuff. So Tony, he also goes by Anthony. So if I switch back and forth, so you were the keeper this year. You made varsity as a sophomore, right?
Yep.
And Nicholas Frez did most of the starts last year. That's good. I know Coach sometimes defers to the seniors if it's really close, but he had a great year.
Yeah, he did.
So this year, I think the team had 11 shutouts. So that's impressive. Did you start all of those shutouts?
I started all except 1.
Okay.
And I believe it was 10 shutouts.
10
total.
shutouts. Okay. See, you guys got to fact check me at home. So talk about your communication. Maybe Sam can jump in here, like between you and the defense, especially. As Sam has been on the show before, but as sweeper, a lot of times it's the shutout. The keeper gets all the credit, and if you allow 2 goals, the keeper gets all the blame. But how important is it the communication between the defense and the keeper? You guys can both talk about that.
It's very important knowing when who's going to go get the ball. If there's a ball rolling to me, I'll yell keeper to go get the ball, and then if there's a ball that's better for Sam to get, then he'll call me out for it.
Yeah, especially on set plays where the goalie comes out to punch the ball. It's important that they call it early.
Yeah. And how do you know, again, I have asked a lot of ignorant questions, when to punch the ball out and when to go out and you gotta catch it?
If there's a ball, well, it depends on the weather conditions. If it's rainy or whatever, I'll mostly defer to punching it out or whatever because I don't want to take the risk. But if there's a ball right at me, I will try to grab it. But if I have to go and reach for it, it's normally safer to just punch it out.
Yeah.
So there's no rebounds inside the box for a second chance.
That's great. And, being an old man like me, Sam, I like to compare, my son John graduated last year. I thought last year's defense was phenomenal. And that's one of the trademarks of Coach Sheridan's team is strong defense. And again, not to compare, but how would you, I know Ethan Brillcast couldn't play last year, but how would you compare this year's defense to last year's? Because, both phenomenal. I think statistically this year might have been a little stronger, but can you talk about, you've been sweeper for the past 2 years, but talk about the differences, just maybe chemistry or what do you
Yeah, definitely with all seniors this year in the back 4, we had a lot of good chemistry. We've played together our whole lives, so we were definitely on the same page all the time.
Yeah, youth soccer and whatever. And Connor, you played with this group your whole life, senior year. That's good. And Connor plays outside mid, is that right?
Yeah.
Did you ever play defense like in club or with
Yeah, I did a little bit in club,
Yeah,
but mostly midfield.
that's good. And so talk about outside midfielder. Again, not all the thousands of people that watch a show are soccer fans, but what's the difference between like an outside midi and like a center mid?
The outside mid, it stays on the outside, and they help back on defense too, and they're like staying out near the line and help like switch the ball a lot.
That's right. So why should you help the D if you got a great keeper and you got a great defense? Why don't you just go up there and score goals?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Because we need him back there.
That's good. So again, I'm going to save some questions for Coach, but I have the list of the games and I know how you guys did, but let's just talk. What was a standout game for you, Connor? That like just team wise, you guys played 19 regular season games, 2 postseason games. What game that kind of like maybe defined your season or the team's?
I think was it our first game against Foxborough?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was
yeah.
that was a great game. We all played well as a team, and we got a win, and it was a great way to start the season against a really challenging team.
Yeah, I think it was a 3-2 win at home, and as you guys all know, Foxborough, they played in the Devon, but they had their ups and downs. They were strong in the beginning, a little funk in the beginning, and then they actually advanced to the 3rd round of the tournament. So I agree with you. That was a key win. They got some. And tell me if I'm wrong, Sam, but their strikers are their strength. Their defensive keeper not as good as Mansell's, but their strikers are pretty tough.
Yeah, they're definitely really quick.
Yeah.
I know one of them had like 11 goals in 2 games or something like that.
Is it
So.
Dylan Barrera?
Yeah, he had a lot.
Does Luke Savoy talk to that kid, or they? No, I know I say that because I think Luke came in 3rd or 4th in the league in scoring.
Yeah, I think
goal scoring, and he couldn't be with us tonight. So Sam has to represent all the captains. Luke Savoy and Ethan Brookhast are playing soccer somewhere. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's snow on the ground and cold out, but they're still playing soccer. So, what about for you, Tony? What game? And again, as a keeper, I think your parent there's pressure. There's pressure on the team, but it's like you're back there. You're the last line of defense after Sam. So, what game? I know you started a couple games last year, right?
I started against Brockton last year in our first home game.
Brockton's pretty good.
That was a good game. We tied 2-2.
What about this year? What game? Let's not count the postseason because we'll talk about that.
This season, there definitely has to be the Foxborough game with that because coming into the season, we knew that they were going to be strong to start out and that they had a good team, and we played them in summer league and other stuff like that, so we knew some of their players. And it was just also a fun game for me. I had a lot of action, even though I let up 2 goals, but we won 3-2. It was a good win, good team win, and it was a fun game.
Yeah, you had a lot of key saves that game. And I think, and I don't have it down, I think they scored 40-something goals. I think you guys were either second or third. Milford scored a lot, but you guys definitely gave the least, maybe tied for less. North Attleboro just plays defense. They don't try to score. Yeah. I hope nobody at North Attleboro was watching that. But so anyways, Foxborough scores 40, 50 goals. To hold them 2 goals is really impressive. And I think, Connor, do you know this? How many other teams did you guys allow 2 goals or more to? You're supposed to be prepared.
Not sure.
I know
2
Dartmouth.
goals.
Dartmouth, yeah.
3 games.
Brockton.
It was Brockton, Foxborough, and Dartmouth.
Yeah. We don't talk about the Brockton game, but
no.
that's good. All right, so let me see what else. Let's just talk, while we have you, and then ask Coach Sheridan the tougher questions. But I know some of the answers to these questions. What are you doing after high school, Connor? Like what, you just gonna hang out and play whatever that video game is, Fortnite?
No, I'll be going to college, and I'll be probably playing soccer in intramurals.
That's good. That's good. And what other sports do you play at Mansfield High?
Just track.
And you played club soccer over the years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What club were you part of?
Bolt.
Okay. And Sam's going to follow up, but do you think, how important was playing club soccer in your development as a soccer player? Or do you think it's important, not important, or?
Yeah, I think it was pretty important. I think it helped me develop my skills. But I also think I grew a lot just from high school soccer.
Yeah. And Sam, you did not play club, right?
No, I never played club.
Yeah, you play baseball, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's good. But both of you guys agree, in-town basketball is really the most important sport at Mansfield High. And,
Yeah, it is.
But And so why did you didn't have time for club soccer, or you just didn't listen to Coach Sheridan when he recommended it, or?
No, I just trusted Coach Sheridan to do all the work teaching me how to play soccer and
That's
everything.
good.
So,
So
Good
yeah,
answer.
yeah.
that's good. And what do you play?
Uh,
hold on. What are you doing after high school?
I plan to play baseball at Brandeis University.
Brandon? Is that a sure thing?
Pretty much. I just have to get in first.
Have you signed at the dotted line?
No,
That's
I
good.
haven't. But
And why did you pick Brandeis? I mean, again, I tell every week on the show it's not about academics, it's about athletics. No, I'm just kidding. I use that joke every week. Why did you pick Brandeis?
well, it just had a good balance of academics and athletics, and I really liked the atmosphere they had there.
It's good. So you'll be able to come home if your mom's cooking like
Of course. Yeah.
every couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's really close.
And I know, what do you play in the off season?
Basketball in
Yeah.
the winter for
Yeah.
the high school, and then I also play club in the spring for Bolts, now Vallejo, and then AAU basketball in the spring too in the same season.
That's good.
So-
Do you have your license yet?
Yeah, I just got it a couple weeks ago.
So you don't need your parents
Yeah,
to do
no,
it?
not anymore. They're
Oh,
happy about that.
That's good. And I know soccer is your favorite sport.
Yeah,
What's your second favorite?
basketball is.
Yeah, because and we know, we didn't mention Sam. We did last time he was on the show. They went to the Super 8, the baseball team, and they have a host of kids returning. And then the basketball team, state champions. You can't do much better than that. So that's pretty impressive. So let me ask you about the postseason. We can ask Coach's opinion about it. Let's talk about both games. Let's talk about the first game, Plymouth North, right?
Yep.
You guys, number 3 seed, which is impressive. I think the last 3 years you guys were number 5 seed. So number 3 seeds, you guys had clinched the Hawk relatively early, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's probably a little anticlimactic. You're playing for seeding, but you guys had clinched it. You didn't mention undefeated in the undefeated the whole Hawk, right?
Yeah.
That's impressive. So Connor, tell me about the Plymouth North game. What was that like? I mean, on
Yeah.
paper you were favorites, but
Yeah.
it's different in the tournament, right?
Yeah. I'd say we played well for most of the game. I'd say we definitely dominated the play, but we just couldn't finish. And then luckily Luke scored at the end of the overtime.
Yeah, which Luke? Devine? Savoy?
Luke Savoy.
All right, Luke
Yeah.
Savoy, yeah. I get paid every time I say Luke Savoy's name, so it's up to $5 now. And I was there because I had nothing else to do, but it was an extremely windy game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. that's
So usually the coin flip doesn't mean anything. Do you guys always take a certain end? Like, but the wind was
Yeah.
probably 30 miles per hour, and you guys dominated the first half, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had the wind in the first half, which really gave us a big advantage. But in the second half, it was more even.
Yeah.
They had the wind, and yeah.
How come you couldn't score in the first half? That's not your fault.
Yeah, not my job.
How come you
but-
couldn't score in the first half?
We had a lot of chances, but we just couldn't
Yeah.
put it in the back of the
Yeah,
net.
they were good. They were a good team.
Yeah.
And I think it was the first time they had made the tournament in
A long time.
a dozen years. My cousin's son plays on the team, and but I wasn't rooting for him, so trust me. And then, so again, you give up a goal in a tournament game, which you did not. It's tough to kind of overcome that, but
Yeah.
you had a nice clean sheet. And
Yeah, it was a good game.
it was a good game, and they had a couple real quality chances, didn't they?
Yeah, they had a couple shots, but our defense was really good that game, and the wind helped us in the first half get ahead, and then I think kind of demoralized them a little bit, and then we stayed ahead the rest of the game,
Yeah.
but we just couldn't put one away.
Yeah,
Put one away.
so of those of you that weren't there, Luke Savoy scored a beautiful game in double overtime. Somehow he got by 2 defenders, and then he deked the goalie. So my question to you is, if you were the Plymouth North goalie, could you have stopped Luke Savoy one-on-one with the game on the line?
I think the goalie what he could have done better was just commit to sliding out to go get the ball. He kind of stopped and slowed down,
Yeah.
and then right as Luke made his move, he went to the ground, and Luke could easily get by him. But if he had committed earlier to go
Yeah.
right after the ball, he would have gotten
You
there.
have to
But
either commit
Yeah.
100% or
stay back.
try to cut the angle
Yeah.
down. That was a tough play. So, and again, we're going to ask Coach, but you guys, I think you won the New Bedford tournament, undefeated in the Hawk, number 3 overall seed, quite a season, 11 goals again, so congratulations. And
Thank you.
will you guys come back in the spring if, in
come
baseball,
back.
hopefully?
Yeah.
Are you
yeah.
captain of baseball?
Yep.
You come back in the spring?
For spring league soccer,
Yeah.
yeah.
You get paid double if you come back. So anyways, thanks again. Thanks for coming on, Connor.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Good luck. We're going to have Coach Sheridan on. We're going to go to Wendy's, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. Thank you. Welcome back to episode 9 of Hornets Sports Buzz. We're joined by Coach Steve Sheridan of the Mansfield High School varsity boys soccer team. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me. As you know, depending on which way we show it, we just had the captains, Sam Nugent, are the captain, and then seniors Connor Eames and Tony Salisbury. So thanks, guys, for joining us. We'll try not to duplicate some of the questions we asked for them, but just, I don't think I covered this quickly, but, and Coach, correct me on any of these facts, but 11-0-5 in the Hawk, undefeated in the Hawk, Keller Rex champions. 1-2 in the non-league, which is a little deceptive. We could talk about that. 12-1-5 overall regular season. Sorry, 12-2-5 because I can't do my math. Coach, correct me if I'm wrong. I think 2 losses is ties for the fewest in the program's history. Is that true?
Regular season, yes.
So I looked it up. Do you know the years? Because I asked my good soccer friends, and they didn't know. Do you know those 2 other years?
The 2 other years, one of them would have been 2007.
Yeah.
And probably 96.
I don't know about 96, but 2007 is right. But people always forget about the 2017 team, regular season, just a year ago. They only lost 2.
That's true.
And
We did.
my friends have kids on the team, so you know.
That's because we had too many ties last year.
Yeah, a lot of ties, a lot of ties. So and 1-1 in the tourney, overall record of 13-3-5, which is probably amongst the best in history. 13 total wins.
Yeah, the most wins in the school's history has been 15. The most regular season wins is 13, and both those teams, there's 2 teams, the 96 and the 07 team, won 13 regular season games, and they both went 2-1 in the tournament to make it 15. So.
That's impressive. And as I said with the boys earlier, number 3 seed, I know because my kid played, it was number 5 the last 3 years. Do you remember, when's the last time they were 3 or better?
In 07,
Okay.
they were the number 2 seed.
Okay.
That's the highest they've ever been.
Okay. So let's back up a little. Coach, how long have you been coaching at Mansfield High, and like where were you coaching before Mansfield? And
I've been at Mansfield High since 1998. I came over with Coach George Giannalutis as an assistant coach, and then I took over varsity 2010 season. Before that, I coached 10 years at Oliver Ames High School.
so I'm thinking you've been in this business a long time. Yeah.
I had hair when I started coaching.
Yeah. You what?
I had hair
Oh, okay.
when I started coaching.
That's impressive. So so there is potential for Coach Bruce Boak after he coaches JV for a dozen years to maybe become a varsity.
There
coach.
is that potential,
There
yes.
is the potential. That's impressive. What about your playing days? I mean, I don't even know if you even tell your current players, your former players. What
I played.
you played? Okay.
I played 4 years at Brockton High School. I played at Bridgewater State College, and then injuries turned me into a coach.
That's good because I tried to look on the internet, but I didn't find any records on the internet.
Well, they didn't have internet back then when I played.
I know that's impressive. So we're going to talk about Brockton. Coach played at Brockton High. We'll talk about Brockton later. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. So last year, and I told the kids, to me, as a fan this year, as just a fan, you lost 15 seniors out of 26 kids, I believe. That's a big loss, and I believe 9 of them were starters. 8 or 9 were starters, including a starting keeper and obviously a few key captains. And did you expect to be this successful this year? And I know you're a relative optimist, but did you expect?
I expected to be very good this year. If somebody told me preseason that we would go undefeated in the Hockomock League, that might have been pushing it, but I knew we had the talent, and I knew we had the skill.
Yeah. So I saw Coach briefly. This is the cable studios. I don't know if you remember, like the New Bedford tournament, and you guys won it. And Coach, I could tell you were very optimistic. And sometimes preseason tournaments don't always tell a lot because some teams like Mansfield was still doing their tryouts, and other teams doing the same. And it's late August. It's not even September. So, but and I think you were missing a couple of your captains and a few of your key players. But so what did you see down there that gave you like extra optimism?
Well, what I saw down there is what made me believe that we could probably run the table. Is we went down there, and everyone that I brought down there, I brought 33 or 34 kids down there. And some of those kids made the team. Some of them played JV, and every single one of them proved that day, even the kids that played on JV, that they could play varsity. So it showed us some depth, and I was very optimistic after that New Bedford tournament.
Yeah, and the way it works, I think you have 3 guaranteed games, and if you pretty much win or tie, you're going to advance. And I know it's like in the past, it's joke. It's like if you play the 4th game, it's like, because it's usually hot and you know it's a long day. But I mean, and you rotate the players. You don't put your starting 11 on for all 3 or 4 games, correct?
No, that's when I bring everybody down there, they all are guaranteed to get some kind of playing time.
Yeah.
And it's usually I will go with who I think is going to be our main core guys the first game, and then I will go with everybody else in the second game, and then the third game, if it looks like we have a chance to make it to the championship game, we play it to win. If not, then I just play, I rest the guys that need to be rested. But this year, it came out that we needed to win to get to the tournament, so we played to win it. And then we got to the championship game, and we played to win, and we won 1-0.
That's great. That's great. We'll walk through the season relatively quickly, and then and every year you have about 3 or 4 scrimmages between the New Bedford tournament and opening night. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, the audience, you're still making tryouts. Maybe after the first scrimmage you've made a couple, but you're not playing again your core 15, 17, 18 guys. So I think you guys did pretty well in the scrimmages, right?
Yeah. This year, after the New Bedford tournament, we had a doubleheader on that following Monday with Plymouth North and Medfield, and that was basically my last day of tryouts. After those 2 games, we split the teams to varsity, JV, freshmen, and then from that day forward, we had 2 games. We had 2 more scrimmages left. That was basically just going to be our varsity to get us ready for the tournament, for the regular season.
Yeah, and I know this because you traditionally play the same teams. Like Coach mentioned, Plymouth North, who you ended up meeting in the tournament, which we talked about the players. We could talk about that later. And Medfield, I believe, they're in Division 2.
They're in Division 2.
They made the tournament, right?
Yep.
And Nauset, who they just went 23-0 and won Division 2 All States. So, and then Quincy, they're a pretty good squad too,
yep.
right?
All the teams we scrimmaged made it to the tournament, including the ones down in New Bedford.
Yeah,
Every one of those teams made it to the state tournament.
Is that intentional? Instead of playing some cream puffs, you're trying to
Yep.
get the team ready. Okay, I figured as much. So, we're not going to, again, usually you play 18 games in the regular season because I think the MIA requires that.
No, you have to play a minimum of 16.
16? Okay.
And you can play as many as 20. The maximum for most leagues is 18, but if you can play up to 20 if you play non-exclusion schools like a Brockton or the bigger schools, bigger Division I schools that are looking for opponents. You can do a non-exclusion game with them.
So again, Mansfield played in Division I South for soccer. If a Division IV team said, "Coach, I want to play a game October 15th," could you or would you?
Yeah, I mean, depending on who it is, we could play them.
Yeah.
And they would have the, but yeah, I could play them.
Okay. Walking through the season again, pretty easy. There were no losses in the Hockomock, and the kids I think were unanimous. They all said the Foxborough game, which was the first game of the year. And again, we don't have time to talk about every game, but was that an important game for you? I mean, the first game of the year is always important, but
the first game of the year is always important, especially when you're playing against your school rival, which is Foxborough. That's the school's rival.
Yeah.
And both teams had high expectations. They had a very potent offense. They always have. We have a very good defense, so it was basically their best against our best, and we ended up coming out on top, which was a great way to start the season.
Yeah, and they're in the Davenport, which is a smaller school, and I think it's tough for them, in football, even though they give Coach Redding a good rivalry. But in soccer, they've been at least the last 4 to 5 years. I think they won the Davenport 2 or 3 years ago. With
a couple of years
Teixeira
ago.
and
Yeah.
the older Barrera and Joe Morrison.
And Joe Morrison,
which we talked about. So, and again, there was so many key games. First road win at Attleboro in the rain, 1-0. I mean, Attleboro, again, on paper, they look to be one of the strongest Kelly Rex teams. They ended up struggling, but you obviously remember that game.
Yep.
That's always tough to score down there.
It's always tough to go to Attleboro, and every time we seem to go to Attleboro, it always seems to rain.
Yeah.
And we always seem to play in bad weather. But
And
our
sometimes
guys
there's
sta-
injuries. No
Yeah.
injuries this year, I
Nope.
don't think.
Nope. We were very good with injuries this year. A couple of the injuries that we did have throughout the season, they were basically like a little bit of a godsend. Get the guys a little bit of rest and get other guys, the younger guys, some playing time. So it was good.
Yep. And then again, we're not going to talk about. And then tied Sharon. And again, we're not going to recount every game, but Sharon is deceptive. Their record wasn't that good. They play in the Davenport, but you play in the grass over there, and it was. I wasn't at that game. I heard it was a nasty. You were fortunate to come out with a tie. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the greatest conditioned field
Yeah,
to play on.
yeah.
I said, but the one good thing that came out of that game is it proved to our guys that we have to play 80 minutes. One of the biggest mantras that I have is we have to play 80 minutes of soccer. You know, you can't just play 78 or whatever. In that game right there, we outplayed them, but we could not score the entire game, and we ended up scoring with 5 seconds left to go in that game to tie that, to come away with to preserve basically the undefeated season.
Yeah.
And it was a perfect game. I mean, I was not happy throughout the whole game, but you know, for coming out with 1 point, I was ecstatic. You know, the way that game was played,
Yeah.
I expected, okay, this will be the one game that we lose, but the boys stayed true, and we scored, and that's all that mattered.
That's great. Like 19 games regular season to not lose, again, to not lose in the Hawkmock is pretty impressive. Again, it's hard not to talk. 1-0 Milford. Milford ended up winning the Davenport. A strong offensive team, maybe not as strong as Foxborough, maybe. Well-rounded team, and you guys won 1-0 at home
Yeah.
on a PK by Luke Savoy.
Yeah,
Another dollar for me.
Milford is a very solid team all over the field. Foxborough probably has a better offense than them. Milford has one big guy, Wally, up there, and he's very talented. He was league MVP for a reason. He's very good, and we just took our defense and we stopped him that one game. I was all set with, if we were going to lose to them, it wasn't going to be because of Wally. And it wasn't, and we ended up getting the PK. He finished, Luke finished it. That's all that matters.
Yep, and again, we always break news here at Hornets Sports Buzz. I did not know that Wallace and De Oliveira had been MVP by the coaches' vote.
Yeah.
That's great. He's only a junior, right?
Yes, he's a junior.
Good luck next year. No, he's good. And I wasn't at the game because, you know, I have a little bit of a life, not much of a life. But I heard Ethan Brocast marked him pretty much.
Ethan Brocast did one heck of a job
Yeah,
on him.
yeah.
He just, every time the ball went near Wally, Ethan got it. And that's all that mattered.
That's great. It's nice to come away with that. 1-1 tie home against All Reims. Let's just talk in general about All Reims. I think they lost 23 seniors last year.
More than that. I think it was 24 or 25.
They're pretty much their whole team. Last year, they went to the Division II state finals and lost. That group was sophomores, they won it all, Division II. So very talented group. I look at them as an all-star team. Mansfield lost to them by 1 point last year in the Kelly Rex. But again, I was surprised that they were able to. They came in second, and they gave you guys 2 good games.
Yeah, the kids that were there playing this year were just sitting there for the last 3 years watching these guys and learning. And that's, you know, at the varsity level, that's what you got to do. You know, sometimes some of these kids just have to sit on the bench and watch and learn. And you learn more that way than you do by playing.
In practice time.
Yeah, in practice,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
that's what it is. They got to learn, and these guys learned it. They learned how to win. And John's a great coach over there. He does a hell of a job, and he got those kids playing above and beyond what any of them thought they could do.
That's good. And I hate to give shout out again to Ethan Brillcast, but I think he scored the winning goal in the game at OA to, I don't know if that clinched the title, but
that clinched a guaranteed tie for the league title for us that day.
Was it with his left foot or right foot, or do you remember?
Yeah.
I'm trying to stump you.
It was off the top of the box, and I just remember, I can't remember if it was his left or his right foot. It should have been with his left foot, but from the side of the field that he shot it from, but who knows?
All right, and a couple other key games, like at least to me, I wasn't there. Canton, a 0-0 tie. They're a talented offensive team. North Attleboro on the road, 2-1 win, and for the first time they have turf. But again, I was joking with the kids. They kind of preach Mansfield style. They play defense. I won't say to a fault. They emphasize keeper defense and You guys had a 2-0 lead, and they kind of you guys held on.
No, we held on. They came on. they play very good defense. We were lucky that game that we actually came out real quick, and we scored a goal in the first minute or two. I forget, but it was real quick, and we caught them by surprise. And then that's all it was we caught them by surprise, and they had to go back and start playing more defense, and we were able to get a 2-0 lead. And then in the second half, they came up with a great goal off a great set play. They've scored on it 3 straight years against us.
Yeah.
Same set play. We still keep getting beat on it.
I heard it's called the Mansfield to them.
Oh yeah, well then yeah, that's yeah.
The Mansfield dummy.
The Mansfield dummy. That's what it's called.
You guys should try that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to have the right talent to do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We could talk about Mansfield set plays in a bit, but and again, so they wrapped up the Kelly Rex. The team did undefeated, clinched, a good seeding, and then Coach, tell me if I'm wrong, but Brockton originally wasn't on the schedule in the regular season, and did they reach out to you or
No,
athletic director Joe Russo?
they were on our schedule
they
as a
were?
19th game.
Okay.
Yeah. It was supposed to be a non-exclusion game, like I talked about earlier. But Mr. Russo forgot to do the paperwork, so it ended up counting on our resume,
Oh.
which is fine. I have no problem with the counting on our record because I was confident that we would give them a good game and we could possibly beat them. I just wanted that game at the end of the season so we could get ready for the tournament. And it was a great game for us. It got us ready for the tournament. It ended up being basically our last 5 games were tournament games. And we ended up with Brockton and then ended up with Dartmouth the next day. It got everybody ready for what tournament soccer is all about.
Yeah, and those of you fanatics, Brockton won the Division I All-State title last year. I think they graduated quite a few, but just like all Rams, they reload every year, and I think they were the only team to beat their JV beat our JV last year, and their JV last year probably could have beaten most varsities.
Yes,
and they were good, and Mansfield ended up playing in the tournament, which we'll talk about. But before we get to the tournament, Coach, I have some random questions because if you've seen the show, so these are some random questions.
All right, let's
All
go.
right. So to me, is it true that you're a little superstitious?
A little.
The reason I ask is because I know before some games, sometimes you want the national anthem play and sometimes you don't. And then especially years where the team is doing well, I'm superstitious too. So is there a history of your superstition, or is that just, because you're still young at heart?
I'm still young at heart. There you go. That's a good answer, Jack.
That's good. That's good. It's good. I think every coach. I think Coach Redding would admit he's superstitious. I mean, it's a good thing. And then
This is why I wanted to wait till after the season to do this show, Jack.
Yeah, that's right. I was going to mention that. That's good. Some coaches. I don't know if I'm a jinx or not because some teams after they've come on the show, their season's gone one way. But that's why I had to plug the boys cross country team because they were on last week and they had a good meet. So. How would you describe, and again, how would you describe your coaching style as compared to Coach John Barata or, the Foxborough? The Foxborough coach, Joe Franchino, played for the Revs. So,
yeah.
But how would you describe, forget about that, your personal style?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know.
David Cass told me to ask you that one.
I don't know. How would I describe my, a little bit laid back?
Yeah. Has that evolved over the years? Because
yes. If anybody out there watching saw me at Oliver Ames when I first started coaching, I am a completely different coach.
Because you've admitted some games you've done really well. Preseason, you haven't said a word, and I think that might be different. But it's good. I think Coach Redding, and Coach Nyan, and we've had some great Coach Collins. Everybody evolves and they change differently. But one thing, personal comment. One thing I like about your teams, other than the defense, is not every kid at Mansfield plays club soccer. And I know some of these other programs, good, bad, or indifferent, all the kids play or they have to play. But I think Mansfield, because last year we had Sam Hyland, who's a multi-sport athlete, Colin Anastasia, Sam Nugent this year, and not that they're going to do what they want, but I think, do you encourage them to play other
Oh, I do.
sports?
Yeah. That's one thing I am. I'm sort of old school. I would like to see 3-sport athletes.
Yeah.
And one thing one of the biggest problems I have at this level is getting kids like Luke Savoy and Ethan Brilcast, who are just strictly basically soccer players, that they have to learn to play with other athletes. One of the toughest things to do in the high school soccer is to get every kid on the same page, and it's basically because We're not a club. We're not 2 or 3 deep at every position. You have kids that are just athletes that are playing soccer to stay in shape for either basketball or hockey or baseball. Like Nuge, he's a baseball player.
Yeah.
He's a great baseball player. He's a great soccer player, but he's playing soccer to stay in shape for baseball season. That's why he's going to Brandeis to play baseball. And you have to get everybody on the same page of, you have athletes, you have non-athletes. You have to figure out who can stay and who can help as a starter, coming off the bench, or even just a practice player. I mean, that's the toughest thing to do in high school sports.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's a great answer. And I think, it's a credit to you, Coach, trying to put all those styles together, because in club soccer, these guys, that's their main job, and they preach a certain style, and some of them have these kids for, 3, 5, 7, 8 years, and, they tend to play out of the back or pass it more, which every coach preaches, but it's a lot harder when somebody's like pressuring you. And so I actually think it's a strength of Mansfield to play, with kids, different backgrounds, different style. But, separate question, like I forget to ask these other coaches, but could you talk about your assistants? Because, I forget to ask Coach Redding, but, as much as you do, talk about your assistants.
Oh, my assistants are great.
Yeah.
This is the best coaching staff I've ever had. I mean, between my varsity assistant, Tommy Janeludis, who I've known since he was born. Him and his dad and I are best friends. And he's a former player. He's played for me. He's coached with me. Bruce Bauk, I coached both of his sons, and he came on as a JV coach, and he's a hell of a coach. And Bobby Antroni, he's another former player from Mansfield High School graduate. He's played. He knows me. He knows what I'm looking for. He knows what to look for. He's the varsity basketball assistant. So those 4 guys right there alone, the job they do is unbelievable. And then I have Frank Durant, who helps out with our goalies coach. He's unbelievable. And occasionally Bruce's son Jason, who's a former player, he helps out when he can. And all of them do a phenomenal job. If there's for some reason I can't make it to a practice or anything, I have no worries with them taking over.
Yep, and I was talking to Bruce Bauk separately, a while back, and at a JV game that I was at, I took up reffing this year, which is another story. But the assistant coach, the JV coach in North Attleboro was commenting how Mansfield has some, and I'm forgetting the word, carryover. Like Bruce has been there a number of years.
Yeah.
Wish I knew the word, but it's great because a lot of JV coaches, it's the nature of the beast. You get a young 20-something-year-old, and they're there for a year or 2 or 3, and. But Bruce has been there a while.
Oh, yeah.
And Bobby's been there a number of years now.
Like I said, like when I first took over in 2010, the first 3 years I was here as the head coach, I had a different freshman coach every year. And usually freshmen and JV coaches, they do have a lot of turnover. But like I said, Bruce has been with me since my second year as the varsity, since 11, because Jason graduated, and he took over as a JV coach. Bobby came along, I think, 2 years later, and Tommy's been helping me ever since he graduated college. So it's like,
yeah, they do a great job, and
I don't want any of them to go anywhere. So
No.
I hope this isn't going to scare them off.
Oh no, and Tommy G, because his last name is Gianeludis, which I don't know if that's right, but he was supposed to come on, but he has laryngitis. I don't know if that's true, but we'll see.
I know, we're going to have to find
we're calling
out.
him out.
I think he got stage fright.
And Coach, I know you've seen some of these episodes, but we focus on the team. But individually, and again, we're not allowed to say anything bad on the show because, of course, we're not. But did any player, any player really surprise you? I mean, you've looked at the seniors for 4 years, but did anybody, either start or off the bench, like really surprise you from what you saw in July and August versus October?
Yeah, actually, there was a couple of kids.
Yeah.
First off, freshman Dylan Buchanan. I watched him in the spring playing U14, and I saw him in the summer league playing first, and I thought, he's got some skill. But when we started the tryouts, he just put himself in the weight room, I should say. The weight room, he put himself right above, head and shoulders above everybody else. He showed that he could he was physically able to be able to take the beating that he could. And
Ahead of other freshmen or even above? Really?
above freshmen, JV,
Wow.
and sophomores and everything.
Wow.
And then his, throughout the season, he just kept getting better and better, and he just totally took me by surprise because there was 4 freshmen that I took down to New Bedford with me, and when we went down to New Bedford, he was probably 3 or 4 on the list.
Mm-hmm.
And then after New Bedford, and then after all the scrimmages and everything, he elevated himself to number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't the most skilled out of the 4. I said, but he had the body type, and he was ready to be able to take on the physical play of varsity soccer. So that's why I brought him along, and he ended up becoming the school's all-time scoring leader for freshmen at the varsity level.
3 goals and 5 or 6 assists.
5 or 6 assists, yeah.
Yeah,
I think he had 8 points.
Yeah, he's got a great style. It's very unique.
yeah.
It's a great combination of speed, skill, and strength. Like you
And-
don't see
yeah.
many freshmen have.
And then another one that surprised me was Robbie Healy. Coming into this year, I wasn't sure where he would be at. For his size, quickness, and whatever. I said, but down in New Bedford, in all the scrimmages, he proved he could play, and he was one of the guys that he came off the bench, one of the first 1 or 2 guys off the bench for an outside mid, and he surprised me. I wasn't expecting what I got out of those 2 guys. They were 2 very good, pleasant surprises for us.
Yeah. No, I wasn't expecting that. It's nice when Robbie didn't start, but I enjoyed him because he's one of Coach Sheridan's. I think he likes to see scrappy plays, kids that
Yeah.
hustle. A favorite of mine last year was Jared Gabrillowitz. I
Yeah.
think Robbie reminded me a
Yeah,
little bit of Jared.
he basically.
Yeah.
You could say those 2 are about the
Yeah,
same.
but Robbie and Robbie will be a senior next year, and his mom's a big fan, so that's important
That's
too.
right.
And then I also get paid the Luke Savoy comment, but last year he was one of the few juniors that started. Ethan Brillcast would have started. He was injured last year, and Sam Nugent did start, and I think there might have been one other, but Luke Savoy 17 goals, including the postseason. But did you see that goal scoring? I knew he's a great passer and set pieces, but did you see that? Did you?
I knew he had it in
Did
him.
you?
I just wasn't sure if it would come out.
Yeah.
But-
I mean, because I think you guys needed it. I mean, you guys strong defensively, and
Oh,
you
he-
guys are going to put the net. But Yeah.
He kept us afloat the first half of the season.
yeah,
And three hat tricks in 6 games or something.
yeah, and I don't think there's been many hat tricks over the years.
No, not many.
John Menz had one, Jake Alexander, but to put it in, and again, Luke, if you know him, he's a very unselfish player, but he's got the skill, and if you need the ball in the net,
He can put it there.
yeah, and he's gonna hopefully play in college. So that's great. And then, Coach, you don't have to because have you announced the All Stars? Are you saving that for the banquet, or is that
The All Stars I can
Yeah.
announce.
okay?
This year's Hawk All Stars, Luke Savoy, and Luke Savoy's an Eastern Mass All Star, and he made All State too.
Wow.
Sam Nugent and Ethan Brillcast were Hockomock League All Stars, and Hockomock League.
Hawk Sports, Sun Con.
Honorable mention.
Oh,
That's what
okay.
it is.
Yeah.
Hawk honorable mention was Derek Muth. We had all 4 of those guys: Luke Savoy, Ethan Brillcast, Sam Nugent, and Derek Muth all played in this weekend's HockomockSports.com All-Star game. The Sun Chronicle won't be coming out with their All-Stars probably for another couple of weeks, and HawkSports.com won't come out with their final, their true 11, top 11,
Yeah.
probably for another couple of weeks too.
That's good. And I was supposed to mention HawkMockSports.com a lot because I get paid from them too. But I'm glad you mentioned them. Josh Perry and Ryan Lanigan do a great job. We
Yes,
get
they
a lot
do.
of their information. And I wasn't at the charity All-Star game. Money goes to, do you know which charity?
Dana-Farber Cancer Institute.
that's
And for the first time in 5 tries, I was the winning coach.
That's great. You made it down there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They called me last minute.
Yeah.
I had to fill in.
Yeah, and again, you can't tell at home, but Coach Sheridan's suffering from a bad back. I think probably from carrying the weight of the team all year. No.
There you go. That's a good idea.
So we can wrap up because Jack O'Neill, it's past bedtime. But thanks a lot, Coach. But I do want to talk about the tournament because first game Plymouth North, and I mentioned to the seniors and Tony, they hadn't made the tournament. They were a good team. It's deceptive because Hockomock, I think, was a little down this year, but you get in the tournament, and every coach says it. You're 0-0 in every tournament game, but that was a battle, double overtime.
It was a great game. They Plymouth North, I knew exactly. They were playing for penalty kicks. They knew that they had to play for penalty kicks.
Their keeper was darn good.
Yeah, their keeper played phenomenal, and their defense, they just sat everybody back. They waited for a couple of chances at scoring opportunities, and if they could get it, they were going to go for it. But other than that, their coach even said after the game, he goes, "I was just playing for penalty kicks," and I would have taken my chances in penalty kicks with them between, our goalies and our kickers. I would have taken it.
Yeah, I agree. Their kid made quite a few saves, and Matt Savoy taught me a new word called parry when you knock the ball over the crossbar.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but that kid did it like.
You've been around soccer that long and you didn't know what a parry was?
No, I didn't. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So we're gonna edit that part. And then the Brockton game. You guys had played Brockton, I think, only like 9 or 10 days earlier. Lost 1-0 at home, which again, it's a little bit difficult because you guys had clinched a lot of stuff. But the tournament, they were defending state champions, and I think they had a little struggle middle of the season, but.
They had a lot of injuries all season.
Yeah.
They were without a few of their key guys throughout the season. I said, and they all got healthy for the tournament, which was fine. And I still, we played them well.
The
last game, that tournament game, it showed just how good they were, and we were good. We held our own.
Yeah, it was 3-0.
I was proud about the way we played,
especially the last half. Yeah.
If I wanted to, we could have just played that real staunch, and it would have been a 1-0 game. But in the tournament, it's do or die. You get down by 1, you got to try and put numbers up, and that's what we did.
That's great. And then just a couple questions. Let's just mention all the seniors. Luke Devine, I just want to say he had a phenomenal season.
Yes, he did.
He scored a couple goals, bunch of assists, but that kid, and I think you're fond of outside middies because those kids have to run the whole sideline. But Luke showed. I remember the Plymouth North game. His ball skills, foot skills are incredible.
Yeah. We started the year with him in the middle, and both him and Luke Savoy in the middle, and it just something just didn't seem right. And as soon as I moved him out to the outside mid, he just became free, and he was. He was setting up goals. He was running all over the place. He was phenomenal for us.
And he got knocked down. He's a little slight, but he's a tough kid.
He was the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah.
You could knock him down. He was just going to get back up and keep going.
Yeah. And then Connor Eames was on the show. He came off the bench. Or he started.
No, he started. Connor started most of the games.
He did a good job. And Derek Muth, who's like a bruiser, that kid won't he won't hurt a fly off the field. But he's a tough kid. He played outside.
He'll be playing in college next year.
Yeah. At Swarthmore.
Swarthmore, yeah.
Yeah. I think all his brothers went to Swarthmore. They have a pipeline at
They have
Swarthmore.
a pipeline, yep.
And then couple kids that did play. Max Bank, who I think was injured at the beginning of the year.
He was injured with a quad injury for the first month of the season.
Yeah, he played senior night, played a few other games, and then Eddie Hepner, the legendaries.
The legendary Eddie Hepner.
Yeah, that's great.
He got in there for senior night.
The manager, that was great. Not all coaches do that, so I think most do not, have their senior manager play.
Yeah.
That was great.
I thought Eddie was worth it.
Yeah. So and again, in closing, Coach, it's a long way away. We talked off camera. Next year, and no predictions, but my guess is you're going to be confident. You're losing, I think, 8 seniors, or 9 including Eddie.
Yeah.
And you have a number of kids that started this year, and the JV team I think did pretty well. But are you optimistic for next year?
I'm very optimistic.
Yeah.
Between what I saw on the JV and the freshman level, what we got coming up, I'm very, very optimistic about next year. I only have one concern, and it's our defense. I've never graduated 4 seniors off of defense before, but we'll see next year. We'll see what my JV and freshmen have to offer and what my bench. I think we'll be all right.
Is your back going to be okay by then?
I hope so.
Well, thanks for coming on, Coach. I really appreciate it.
All right, no problem.
And hope you have a great off season, and thanks a lot. That's it for episode 9 of Hornets Sports Buzz. I had a bet with somebody that could get to episode 10 of Hornets Sports Buzz before they
You're not
cancel
there
the show.
yet.
No, so hopefully, and happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.